What up, everybody? It does look like you should be able to hear me. Should be able to see me. I am here. See if we can get the chat and pop up. Pop out the chat. Yep. Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for coming in. We're trying something new today. And so I am just waiting for it to go live everywhere because we're doing it in a manner we don't normally do it. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Again, I want to thank everybody for showing up today, and of course, I want to thank our sponsor, roundlyx.com. Please check them out. They have a great feature where anytime you spend your card, your debit card, your credit card, your crypto card, you can get a little bit of your change rounded up into cryptocurrency. Helps you DCA in every day, a little bit here and there, in the easiest of ways that is considered a saving system. Now, they actually have a handful of other systems here with them. My favorite part is the notifications that come with the services, where you can actually get notifications on different coins and things that are popping and whatnot, and I find that to be very useful, and you might too. So go and check them out, roundlyx.com, and if you use, oh my gosh, I forgot what it is. If you use our various different things, we'll have it in our description below. You can go ahead and get a discount now. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. It is a great one. Well, I apologize about that. Yeah, wasn't full screen. Alright, so we're going to go on today's episode. Let me get me on the screen. Oh, there you are. Hello. What's going on, everybody? Whoop, whoop. Got my chair. Got my little... Let me see if I can get my hands on it. Got my laptop. Got my trusty Venom over here. I love drinking Venom. Let's see. Can we get it up? Aha! Alright, so we're doing things a little bit differently. And today's episode, we are talking about charts. So, I did have something else planned, but the past week I noticed a lot of people getting hit, getting overburdened or taken over, my bad, with, chart says this, so it must mean that, and people got rug pulled hard. So, to try to help keep that from happening, I thought, hey, maybe we ought to go in and just, I don't know, help people figure out how to do these things. That's what today's all about. It's about explaining charts to you now. I don't have, oh, you're about to see something pop up. Okay, I don't have any script today, because I wanted to spend most of the time just going over the real legit stuff that we see with charts. So we're in reader mode, and here's your QR. Boom, go ahead and get that in. So what we're saying is that every time you see these charts popping up, people are all, oh my gosh, da 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 da. Well, let's be honest, like, that doesn't really mean anything. A lot of times you'll see people post charts. They don't have timestamps. They don't have the coin information. It's just, numbers go up, numbers go down. Drop at the hat and things like that. It's never actual information. Like we see right here, if we zoom in, this is just the best example we can have, and it is a classic way to lie, where you just make the chart seem very misleading, where 35% super low, 39% super high, when in reality they're very near each other. So It says here basically with a non-zero baseline, the graphic on the left, which was adopted by a chart by Fox Business 2011, it shows the y-axis at 34%. Smaller percentages are aggregated, so it just kind of stretches out the smaller percentages. So that's, I mean, there's an entire book on it here, and this is his third book by the professor from University of Miami that is about the information we're about to review, and it's all about charts lying, and that's the whole point. Is just because you see the chart doesn't mean it is telling you anything useful. It's kind of the importance of reading charts on your own, because it's kind of like palm reading. If you've ever done palm reading or you ever seen palm reading, you'll know that there's tons of people out there, and very few people are actually accurate about anything about palm reading. But as odd as it is, palm reading is still probably more accurate than chart reading. 9 times out of 10, palm reading is going to be more accurate. Um, and over the years, I mean, over decades of years of people using various different methods and media and whatnot, we've seen just how, and that's what this one's all about. It's about how it's being used in the media to lie. And the professor goes over public data and just shows very simple steps of why they're actually done. And basically, for some reason, many people assume that like numbers and the extensions of these numbers and the graphics represent some objective truth. And that's a point that we have on a lot of this stuff is most people have an objective truth about most things. Well, believe it or not, what you see, you have more objective truths or considerations of truth, even if they're not true, than anything else because you can physically see it, and so you feel as if that's tangible or real, which it doesn't actually mean it is. So, one of the questions they asked them was like, "Why do you write this book now?" And why about this misinformation stuff? Because this is a more recent post and stuff. This book is a little more recent. I think 2010 or 2009. So, well, I guess for me that's more recent, but for you guys, it's probably a long time ago. Just realizing my age a little bit there. So the visual information or visual misinformation has always had something that he's been worried about, and he addressed these different things in his book or various books, and he just noticed that it's been increasing in places where he's actually lived, like Spain, Brazil, and the U.S. And keep in mind, this is well over a decade ago. What? Uh, dang near 20 something years ago, and he was already seeing this, so these things were already happening. So a lot of us grew up around these lies, not knowing they were lies the entire time, which is a little bit scary to think about. Which is one of the points of this entire thing. It's that these charts that you're seeing, that they're lying to you, you should be more afraid of them than you are afraid of them. Simply because they have way more control over you than you realize. It's more than just a visual game, it's a mental game, it's a mind game. I know it doesn't really sound like a fun thing or a thing to talk about, but if you think about how this really affects you, if you can figure out how to find these, then you might stop buying into coins that drop off in the hat of a dime, or you might actually be able to find real gems. That's the real thing here is just because we are talking about how graphics are misleading and how your charts are probably lying to you, you're also going to figure out how to tell the truth with them. And that's the really fun thing about here is like real life examples. Let's get into how that happens. So we already heard vertical scale is either too big or too small, skips numbers, or just doesn't start at zero. It's like very confusing set in nature. The graph isn't labeled properly, something we haven't seen yet, or data is specifically left out. Something that happens all the time, oftentimes with a side note that just something says something like data left out for, like it doesn't mean anything basically. And actually, a lot of times the data that is left out does mean something to you, the viewer. It just doesn't mean anything to the person releasing it. But for some life misleading graphs, so go above the beyond and the classic types, some are intended to mislead, and some are just there to give you a shock value. And this shock value is probably a lot more common nowadays, and that is what gets people to do things they normally wouldn't do. This is what gets them to you know, ape into things they wouldn't normally ape into. Let's just say it like that. Um, and so we see some examples. This is from University of Kentucky, is where the image comes from. It's actually from a magazine. We can just go in here. The Times leave the rest behind in print and online. Global visitors to the Times website. And we see from 2004, 0 all the way up to 12, no, about 11 million. And then full price sales, the Times, 495,720. And Daily Telegraph, 446. So that doesn't make any sense. And there is some kind of note here about the numbers. So I can't read what the note is, but there is a note here about these numbers, just like there's a note here saying the source of these numbers. But these ones, the way it's printed up the opposite direction, it has something to do specifically with these. So, because, oh yeah, right here is the source for this one. So we can't actually tell what that is, but we do see there is some kind of note there, which does prove there's some kind of misleading information. You might be thinking the graph on the right shows that Times makes double the sales than Daily Telegraph. Well, if you take a close look at the scale, you'll see that the Times does make more sales. It's only beating the competition by about 10%. Yeah, you're right. See 485, 446. Not much of a difference. USA Today is notorious for fuzzy graphs. So we just kind of see how they look like a very, look at that scale. Just look at it. Just look at it. Just look at it. Right? But if you come down here at 96,000, 98,000, 100,000, 102, 104, not much of a difference. They're just making it look good for them. 35, 39, 9. So the major difference here is 8.8 to 9.2, which is, what, less than 5 points of difference? But look how different that looks. It looks hugely different. 8.6 to 9.2. And that's just basically what these are real examples. For example, here, like 54 versus 62. So, 8. But the way it's set up is it gives you that, like you're probably looking at this and you're probably thinking, holy crap, it's the coloring. It's the coloring that gets you. It's different, it jots, it sticks out, it pushes to your face, and then it doesn't align directly with that black line, and then you're just like, oh no, it's down at the bottom now. Well, it's down at the bottom when it started. It's down at the bottom most of it. So what difference does it make? Not much of any. Actually, none. Makes absolutely no difference. And the amount of difference that we're talking about is so minute. It's within 0.5 of a degree. So, and this is, climate change or whatever. Yep. So, shows not much climate change. But, and then things like this where you got a lot of stuff in there, very confusing. Oh my gosh, look at all that data. But if you was to just put the data side by side in a top-down graph, you'd be like, oh, there's nothing there. But that's just what they do. This is how it works. So we're going to keep going instead of staying down on one for too long. Where's my timer at? Okay. So we want really good examples is what we're looking for now, right? What are some really good examples of bad charts? I'm going to give you the link here. Is that way you can find it? Everyone wants to play along. So there is this Excel file that will show you examples. It just gives you the, I don't know, like the worst of the best example, or the best of the worst example, something like that. Yeah, the best of the worst examples. That's so hard to say, right? And these are columns stacked on top of each other, so we have different colors representing different things, which is very misleading because these only work if none of the data is at all equivalent. And here's the other data. Here's this, well, the same data basically, right? Yeah. So here's an alternative way to look at it. Now you see real data. Or so you think, right? But it's just how these things work. Um, number one, number two, right? If you look at it, it appears number one is bigger, but the plot slice is actually number two, and in reality, number one presents about 13%. And you got 15 way over here. So it's a bit confusing. But that's just the whole point. So I hope you, if you want to look at this in your free time, whatever, it will definitely give you a really good look of what's going on. Because then you can kind of play with it too. Play with the data. I think on these ones, I believe they're live. And when they're live and you can kind of play with it, you can really see what this data manipulation can do. And you might even be able to shock some of your friends with some of it. Maybe get some stuff on Twitter. Maybe do some posts or something at me, at Zombied. So we're in this one now. And this is basically a guide to read charts. Now, I don't normally show these. And I am showing this for two reasons. One, the guy is supposed to be like actually good at this. And then two, there is some real data in here. And then three, we'll get into that. Because as you're going through and you're looking at all this stuff and you're reading and he's talking about these are the ways we look at the charts. And now we're talking specifically charts. You're going to see how easy it is to start confusing. Now here, we start seeing in and out order points. We basically seen the candle wick plus the entry exit. So we do get a little bit more information here. And that's basically what he's talking about. He's saying, look, if we're using something that's physically easier to see what's going on, then we actually have more understanding of what's going on. And it says basically if you look, a horizontal line pointing to the left marks the opening price and to the right marks the closing price. So that being the example there, price in, price out. So it does give you the best point of view of what's really going on. Because a lot of graphs are designed to trick you, especially when we're posting them on social media. We want them to look pretty, which can be tricky. And that sometimes is unintentional. So now here is the ones that we normally see, candlesticks. These are my favorites. They basically show very much the similar data, but in a different method. You see now we're seeing the data is encapsulated inside a body. So the real body shows the real difference between the opening and closing price. This is for like if you're doing averages and stuff like that. And then line charts just shows you the, I believe the outline. Right? Yeah, the closing price. Because some people, that's all they care about. And point and figures. These are really fun. Like, not gonna lie, like, a point and figure chart is concerned only with price, not with volume or time. The chart uses an X to mark increase in price, O to mark lower in price. With this approach, it's easier to spot trends. And this is absolutely true. And this is something that like a lot of people still do. They just use different digital methods to make it happen. And if you're doing these on your own, this is probably one of the best methods to catch trends, while this is the best method to figure out your middle zone of approach for your next attack. And then this is going to be determining your bottom line for your pitfall or your safety net. And then this you're going to use for math to determine what kind of average you're going to base on. You're going to take the average of all these differences, and if it's a positive, you add in, if it's a negative, you take out, and then you come up with an output, and you figure out, okay, what do I want to do here? Of course, everyone does everything their own way, but in succession, they all have a use. That's the real point here. In succession, using them all for their own reason allows you to have a use. You're trying to use one for everything, you're not going to fly. It's just going to end up burning you at many points in your life. And something that some of this is going to explain is how to do your comparisons, how you do your flows. You can see we're doing volume considerations down at the bottom. He explains what everything is very well. All the points are made clearly, and to an extremely good, like, it's almost like textbook, like dead serious. This is a lot of textbook data that you would expect to see, and a lot of basic ways that people use to get accurate measurements. This is basically how to read. Now, the parts that are not accurate in here are going to be very subjective data, and it's just kind of sprinkled in loosely, but it does have its points. Because remember, that was what I was getting at, was even though it's there, it has its reasoning. So we see here he's using if a resistance, he's using an example, and he was like, in September 2008, $42.50 served as a resistance. Each time the price level was tested, volume increases, blue circles. This pattern added to the weight 42.50 level and indicated that the overcoming price would take significant time. So what he's talking about is these tiny little points right there, right? So he's talking about these ones right here with these ones here. And so the part that's difficult is you've seen this graph, right? The more often the trend line, you're finding out about 32.50 resistance line. And then you come in here and you're finding out this. And then you got down here. But like if we go into our clock, what's it? 2009 CLF, so we're in a completely different thing, Cliffs National Reserve. I actually thought it was going to be a different timestamp, and then we're in a completely different thing. So a lot of people, when they're going through here, they're not going to notice those things. And they're not going to know which one of these goes which, and they're going to get very confused. And that's where it's subjective. And as in, the person reading it is subjective to determining how the information is applied, or for what graph things are appropriated to. For example, you see here it says fast very clearly. So you're probably reading this, you see fast, and then you immediately read this stuff down below, and you're thinking it's for that graph above, which it is. So that's why when in some areas you read something below, you're assuming it's above. In some points it is, and some points it's not. And when to know when that is going to be some fun rereading. So I recommend the best points in this whole thing is the definitions and the pictures. The data in between the pictures and stuff might not help you out as much as it should, as just looking at the pictures will. So I know something everybody wants to know is, let's look at the worst. Let's just see if we can look at the worst. I'm not sure if these are going to load in. Let's see. I'm going to have to go to reader mode, I bet. It's just not letting them load in. Here we go. Same, you'll see it's the same link. Now you see why I'm in reader mode. Perhaps I don't have an ad blocker on. It's baked into the system. I can't turn it off. So I can't actually show you these. Man, I was really hoping I was going to be able to. Nope, won't let me. So you're going to have to come in here and you're going to have to watch them on your own. But it is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous charts. Insane looking stuff. And some of these, one of these was Microsoft, one of these was the government, oil, fossil fuels, every misleading thing you've seen in here. Probably everything in here you've probably seen somewhere in the news. I wish I could show you more, but I can't. So now we're getting into the nitty gritty. We do have more charts. We do have more stuff up in here. But let's look at some charts. You know, Here's TradingView. I'm not even logged in. You see, we're just a random person, and we're gonna look at some charts. So let's launch that chart in full view, bro, and let's get into it. So we can see it automatically popped in with a bunch of stuff. We can see the current value right here. Nice. We can see volume. Alright. I'm scrolling my scroll wheel up and down to get this to happen, Captain. Okay. And it's just zooming in, zooming out. When in doubt, zoom out, right, bro? Zoom out. You can see here I'm technically on a 30-day free trial, but I'm not logged in. So if I just change my IP address, that will change. So that's as far out I can go on a free one. But we see there's more options down on the side, plus all sorts of different stuff. Oh, no, change percentage. Ooh, I thought that was fine. I always let my volume out. Okay. So then you see we have information on here. I can see the current price. It's market open. All little data points. You can add triggers. All these little, and a lot of that stuff ain't gonna help you out. But you see this. TradingView is very famous for this. A lot of people rely heavily on this. And this is for margins, not for spot traders. Spot traders normally go the opposite of whatever this says. So, if you're spot trading and leverage trading simultaneously, that little indicator right there, let's see if I can get my, no, that one, way over there, it's gonna be the one to help you out, bro. I gotta get my camera so I can point further over. Come on. No. I gotta get a more wide-angled camera. I need to. But we can also got sources and information here, which is really helpful. So if you're looking at stuff, a lot of times being able to go directly to the GitHub or something like that. I just clicked on TradingView. We're in its GitHub. We're in the Bitcoin GitHub. Here. So in case you want this link later, there you go. So when you're not sure if you're on the correct coin, TradingView might be a helpful key because it's going to show you where they're getting their information, basically, right? That's what it says: profile, source, codes, white paper, website, explorers, community. So unless information is uploaded incorrectly to here, it should be somewhat accurate down here, which would always help you find like source code, which could help you find their website. Well, they got a website here as well. The block explorer, so it's easier to find whatever you're looking for. And I know TradingView is very well used to scam people, but at the same time, it is an extremely useful tool. Learning how to use it is going to be the helpful part in your life, and that was what this site was about. In case you didn't have that, there is again, because doing it on your own is more important than listening to somebody else. Because you can listen to people all day. Oh, I forgot I can do this. I'm on the side and I'm scrolling down. Because you can listen to people all day, but if they're just picking a certain section out of all of this information, then what does it matter? You know? Like, if they're in here and they're like, yeah, would you buy that? Bro, would, like, you gonna buy that? Yeah, it's up, right? Up only. Look at that. Up only. And then, okay, there was some tragedy. There was definitely some tragedy there. So, oh, bro, up on. So, it's very misleading. And just to get to the different ones, let's just go to a different one real fast. Let's go to gold. No, 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 no. Reload. Yeah, I don't know what all they'll let you look at for free. Nope, nope, not logging in. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not logging in. I'm not logged in for a reason. So we're still not done though. Okay, you've looked at examples. You've basically heard the basic information on it. There's only one real reason why these happen. People are producing incorrect charts to mislead you. It's mostly to get an emotional reaction out of you, so you will respond quickly. And we've seen that there are multiple different books, multiple different papers, multiple different studies by multiple different universities, all going over how charts lie to you with real examples from public sources that were really used in the world. But you still probably thinking, I don't know how they lie though. So this guy right here, he kind of explains the how. Like the real how. As in, not just, oh, it's just, look, the number difference here, bro. Well, we'll get into this in a second. So, online audiences and visualization researchers often share, discuss, and critique misleading visualizations. Existing critiques typically point out suboptimal choice of visuals, encoding, or violations of common design guidelines. But this is how charts are used to deceive audiences and spread misinformation in practice. Now, this blog post is going to discuss the findings of our paper on misleading visualizations. So, this is strictly on misleading visualizations. And you can see, this is super new. This is extremely new. And that is the point of this one. This one is about as new as you can get. And they're literally talking about people love critiquing visualizations, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing here. They're going to be critiquing visualizations we've already seen out in the public. But we're going to go down to really important information. Like, importantly though, only about 11% of misleading visualization posts violate common visual design guidelines. Using truncated or dual axis pie charts. On truncated is just like the lower number, or dual axes pie charts are just very common things, very common crimes people eagerly spot. So less than 1% of charts were incorrectly interpreted by the tweet author because of visual tricks. Basically, there was some tweets made about this, and people didn't pick up on the problems because the trickery is done so well. It doesn't have to be much. The slight change in trickery is all it really takes, which is kind of the point. So besides incorrectly reading a chart, which is, again, subjective about these things, reading the chart is the hardest part. Sometimes less than 1% of tweet authors did. We've defined 6 other common types of reasoning: errors among common COVID-19 posts, cherry picking, setting an arbitrary threshold, incorrectly inferring casualties, issuing caused by data validating, and failing to account for statistical norms, and misrepresenting scientific results. So this is like why charts were misread. These are the most common reasons why if we would have read that part, they did a bunch of tweets, and these are information based on the tweets and with getting with the people and talking to them and finding out why they did, or information from within their head, so they had more actual data about the real reasonings for things. And people said they chose certain things, like when they say cherry picking, basically someone said something that people would say to basically define down to as just they cherry picked data. They saw something they liked, bro. It's an arbitrary threshold. Oh, if it didn't have a number under, or if it wasn't at a time of or by whom, to not good enough. Incorrectly inferring casualty. So it would say, casually, basically death was inferred from the data, and there was no death confirmed. issues caused by data validity, meaning there's not all the information is there, so there's a lot of blank spaces, and that causes problems because there's no way to validate or seeing new data, failing to account for statistical nouns. So not being able to know what you're actually understand what you're actually looking at, and misrepresenting the scientific results, seeing information where it says something is 0.1% more, therefore it is more of, or more common, or more whatever, when it was only more of in that small little subgroup. When you break it down to a larger grouping, then it's even lessened, which then it may reverse and be less than 1 point less, 0.1 less than, instead of 1 more than. So then they go into exactly what a lot of these mean. Then they show real examples, so you can see how, like, cherry picking data to go into your information is the number one best way. So keep going, and he's going to give you something for everything. Now he's also going to point things out. He's going to break it down for you, and I don't want to break it all down for you because that's for you to really expand on. You can kind of see really quickly when you're just not paying attention to the data. You just look at the visual. It looks huge. Then when you actually look at the data, we're talking that huge difference at this top one right here. It's not even 10%, bro. It's like maybe 6%. Huge difference? No, very small difference. Account for statistical nouns. So, multiple events and large public gatherings, increased COVID-19 reporting, blah, blah, blah. So, it's just showing you a bunch of information. But if we say, what he's talking about? He's saying, we observe that users often do not account for the importance of some data. If doing so helps support the argument, such as falling prey to the baseline rate. So basically, like, if this makes you go, oh, yes, I agree, you're more likely to infer this off-scaled in the wrong, like, too big. And then if you go, I don't agree, you're going to off-scale in the minor. You're going to think it's too small. And you won't take the data in real representation or in real sense accurately anyways. So even if you have accurate data represented accurately, you're still going to look at the data and text and information around it and go, orange, because it's blue. And it might not make sense to everybody else, but it made sense to you. So I'm just gonna scroll down because I can't say any better. Oh, I'm in the way. Hold on a second. Let me move me out of the way. Whoop. The whole post, this entire thing can be brought down to this picture. The person looks at a screen, A and B. Obviously, A causes B. Obviously. Because A has an arrow and B has a circle. A is down on the left, B is up on the right. We have no information. It means nothing. That graph means literally nothing. Which is what all these graphs mean too. Sorry, when I was reading this paper and I came across that, I laughed for like an hour. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I am a little behind. Sorry, I took more time on that than I probably should have. Yes. Let me zoom in on this one. So, one of the few good reasons to use a pie chart. Looks like Pac-Man, does not look like Pac-Man. So if you just want the memes, and you want it broken down by meme, we got it for you, bro. Let me get you the link here, because I'm not going to go through all this. It's basically the same thing, but they actually show you how to fix it. And I think that's this one, right? Yeah, this one they have, in some of these cases, they show you kind of how to fix it. Yeah. So we saw that example, and a lot of these examples that are in this one, we saw in other posts. So you're going to be able to see that example used multiple times, and then you're going to go, okay, here it is. This is exactly why it's misleading. Here's how it's misleading to me and how I can interpret it misleadingly and the different ways that can be done for both it and me. And then here's how to fix that solution so you can find out the real results. And as you can see here, they put it to a baseline and set a proper or a better proper scaling. Basically, these scales on the side are supposed to basically have some kind of representation to the left and right. And he explains all this to you. He explains everything to you very simply and in very simple terms, simpler than I can explain it. So, or come check it out, come read it. Let me get that link for you one more time, because this site I thought was super useful. So we've seen this one actually before. We've seen this one before, right? And they're saying basically like graphs throw off proportions that have a tendency to make things look larger. So to make this piece look ginormous, bigger than this piece, they put it on a 3D scale. But here it is on a 2D scale, so you can really see the difference. This is actually smaller. And that was that one I was trying to explain that earlier with the 1 and the 2, but I didn't think do a very good job at it. So, solution, don't use the 3D graph at all. Fancy doesn't always equal reality. Improper scaling. So, background, you're going to have to come watch this so you can get a better background of it. But we see person A and person B, resizing the pictograms leads to an over-exaggeration of size. Instead of 3 times the value, it feels more like 9 times. So we can see here, there's 9 of these little guys inside here, but in reality to the data, it's only 3 times difference. So in reality, the difference is only here. But because you have this thing here, the wideness. It's, it's the whole like animal effect, man. An animal come up on you, whoa, 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 whoa. You get up on your tiptoes, you jump up and down, you go, wah, wah, wah. Get loud, you bring out your hands, you get wide, you make it think you huge. They're doing the exact same thing right above me, man. Oh, right above me, bro. Come on, get my. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Solution. Show it in real visual understanding. A versus B. Cherry picking data. Actually, we saw both of these examples. This one is just a recut of that one we saw earlier for the climate change. And I don't remember what this. No, this is the same thing, but a different time period. It is important to ask yourself, what data am I not seeing? Because if we go back through here, okay, here it is. Misleading graph, cherry picking 15 years innovates the global warming. This is the one we saw earlier, but it was in a different setup. Here's the real graph. So they're cherry picking points on here to make their thing seem more dramatic. And that's the solution. And also, find these people on LinkedIn and Twitter. Very good peoples. Going on. So, you kind of get in the trend where basically there's not a whole lot of ways to do this, but the same way, the few ways to do it, does it for all of them. And here they're going to basically just, the picture's not coming in again. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. I think I can read this one though. Yep. So I should read this one. So they're just basically going over the scalings and stuff like that. This is the number one way they're going to get you. It's all in your scales, your ratios, these little tiny little bits of information. And if you focus on these 3 points of information when you're looking at data, looking at your chart, looking at what you're plotting, what you're seeing, what you're talking with people, you think about these 3 points of information, you're going to be able to figure out the real playing field, what it really would be like. You'd actually be able to go onto Excel or something and be able to set it up yourself. Be able to go into your own spreadsheet and just see that data represented more accurately. Because at the end of the day, we want you to be able to do your charts, do your own data, build your own graphs. Because you can't trust. You have to verify. And this is about verification. This is how you do it. So this one, it's kind of like just like the other one, but these guys, they break it down in the same examples we've already seen, but they're from different sources. So you see like this, we actually saw this one earlier, but it was not in a graph like this. It was in a different type of graph. And so this will allow you to see same data different ways, and both ways are still manipulated. And when we're looking at stuff like this, like earlier when we looked at this one, they were layered on top of each other, and we didn't even talk about it because it made no sense. And you're looking at it here, and you're still confused. You're going, bro, how does this have anything to do with success of smaller businesses? It looks like the opposite. And you can see that it's misleading based on the data because the two statements describe misleading characters in the information. The vertical axis is broken off and does not begin at 0. Remember? It's one of the key features they use. 3 studies reported collect data at 3 different times. So 6 different year sets. So it's really super helpful. At this point, I'm trying to give you guys more places to go because I can't just sit here and explain to you how to read every single graph in the world. But through a collection of all of this information, you may actually be able to start reading every graph in the world. Any graph that gets put in front of you. Most importantly, charts. And one of the things I wanted to get into was why charts. So as we're going through this consideration from how to set up your data, and you're using this example, they show different ways to point out data to really mislead people. But at the same time, we're able to see they are breaking all the rules. They're using threes, they're using unrealistic ratios, they're using all of the methods that you don't want. And they're doing everything to get some kind of visual impact, including the color scheme. And it's from the CDC. But here they have a few extra links to help you guys out and making your stuff. And they actually, even if you want to do 3D graphs, they actually have a way in here and explain how to set up 3D graphs where it's not going to be super misleading, with a little bit more understanding. And that's going to be really important because when you're doing your charting, you also need to be graphing. You need to be preparing data on the side. Oh, that's right, I dropped it off. Just go back to roundly x. You're going to be going back to the side. You're going to be going all these different things. And you're not just going to be looking at the same thing every day. It is going to change. It's going to move. And you're going to see other people post stuff and you're going to think, mine don't look like that. And you should not let that get you. It's not a contest. It's not a game or anything like that. But other people will play it like that. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people all across in the major sectors of mass media have already been doing this for a long time. There ain't going to stop anybody on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook to do the same thing. And that's where you come in hand. Because if you can read your own chart, if you can graph your own information, then you will be way better and you'll be ready. Because believe it or not, and there are many people, I do know people, that popped off on meme coins. And when I say that, I mean they took a $20 risk and that $20 risk paid out. Then they took another risk and that risk paid out. And they took each payout and risked it for a bigger payout. But I also know people who like popped in on like Dogecoin and people who popped in on even Pepe coin recently. And they popped in on the wrong time. I know a few people who popped in the middle of the Pepe crash. And that was scary to see. So when you feel an emotional response to someone about a currency, maybe don't go for it. Maybe try to stay away from that one. Because if you have learned anything from these graphs and how they mislead you, it's they trigger an emotional response to get you to react without thinking. Well, in cryptocurrency, that's called FOMO. In cryptography, that's called sidelining. You know, I think there's another term in like American football, where you fake the QB or QB sneak or something like that. I'm not a big football person. I know it's a roundabout backside to the right or left on soccer, but it's the same point. It's just a veil over the eyes until you do it yourself, my friends. Alright, I hope this helped you guys change your perspective on this, and I'm gonna try this. Just give me a quick second. Don't go nowhere. Hold on. Don't move. Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay. Where's it at? Give me 10 seconds. Alright, I hear it, but I don't see it. Alright, hold on. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna try that one more time and see if it works. Oh man, how's that outro? I just wanted to come back in real quick to say thank you, everybody, one last time. And again, for the outro, I just want to thank the guy who created it. I saw him the other day. He posted on Twitter about it. I can't find his name. I just want to get his name, and I want to play the outro one more time. Oh, it was so awesome, so awesome. I want to get his name. Hold on a second. Don't go nowhere, because we're gonna play it again. It's super cool. Gosh darn. Now everybody's blowing up my Twitter. I don't have his name. I'll have to get his name next time. I'm going to play it one more time just because it is very nice, very awesome. I'll get his name. I'm going to have to think him on Twitter. I love it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Next time I'll have more stuff set up and ready for you to have the playing of the videos better, because I definitely messed it up this time. Alright, man. You guys enjoy.